My name is Elle Bryant. I'm a senior at North Central, and I do track and cross country.
Welcome
So,
to the show, Elle.
yes,
Thank you.
welcome, welcome. We are excited to have you here with us so our audience can get to know more about you and who Elle is behind being on the cross country field and on the high jump field. So, how did you get interested in both? It's an interesting kind of dynamic doing
Uh-huh.
cross country and then in track and field. We know that you do high jump. So, how did even getting involved in the sport?
It goes back to like fifth grade. I think my mom was like making me try a sport, and I had done gymnastics like basically my whole life up until that point. So naturally, like I guess I kind of just fell into like the high jump aspect of that when I was in like fifth grade, but I never really took it seriously, I guess, until recently, like last year. But yeah, and with cross country, same thing. Like I kind of just she made me try a sport, so I was like, okay, like I'll try cross country. And I just ended up liking it, so here I am.
Yes, well, you definitely stuck with it.
I know that works out. Now, I believe you have an interesting story about how you came to high jump. So I'd love for you to share that story so we can kind of get an idea of how new you are.
Okay, well, I kind of like obviously I did it in middle school, and I kind of always brought up the idea of like, hey, I want to try high jump in high school. And like every year I would bring it up, like, oh, I kind of want to do high jump. And it was kind of just something that was like brushed off, I guess, or people just thought I was joking. I don't really know. But one day we were outside at practice, this was last year, and we were standing by like the little football field goals, and I like jumped up and I touched it. And my distance coach, he was like, "Did you just touch that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I just like did it again. And he was like, Maybe we should get you into high jump." So that's where my high jump career kicked off for high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
goofing around, touching the goalposts.
Right. We have to shout out Coach Chad Wallace, right? Because
Yeah.
with sprinters and jumpers and distance, our paths cross, but it's still a little different. So being able to see everyone all at once. So him seeing that and then coming to us and saying, "Hey, coach,
Yeah,
we may have a high jumper," was super helpful
that's
Yeah.
right.
for us. And yeah, the rest is history for sure.
Now you've been at this since fifth grade thus far. What's your favorite memory?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of memories. I'd say one of my favorite memories, actually, I would say probably like my first meet high jumping in high school, just because I feel like it was such a change up from what I'm used to. I was always in distance, like I was always running the 1600, like running 8 laps, whatever. And so just going from that to like trying something to completely new, like it kind of just took me back to like my gymnastics days, and I ended up doing better than I thought I was gonna do. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna be my new thing.
Yes, it was. We remember that day well.
Very well. We were like, oh, we stumbled upon something here. Mm.
Who's been your biggest inspiration in the sport, right?
I would say one of my biggest inspirations is probably my stepdad. He was my coach all through middle school, and so that kind of just automatically made me want to keep going. And he ran in college, he ran for Butler. And so I kind of just wanted to like continue that and like also inspire then my sisters to continue doing track. So
Um, you got to shout out your dad's name. Got to shout out
Justin
the crew.
Chris.
Thanks, Dad.
Yes.
All right. Now, fun fact about you. We were on track last season to make some serious headway when it came to high jump. And then we had a blooper, so to speak, and you ended up in a boot. How did you handle that setback, like mentally? Like, what was it like for you? What were you going through? How did you bounce back from that?
I mean, I definitely think that it was really hard because I felt like I was definitely improving a lot at the time, and I knew that I could improve more. And I had already actually fractured that foot like a year prior. And so I kind of had already been through that, and like I knew what was coming. So I just tried to stay positive, and I knew that I could come back from it. And I knew that if I just kept working towards, I would put in the work regardless. I think I knew that I could overcome it. And I don't know, I just tried to like stay with it a little bit and do the things that I could when I was still in a boot. That way that when I was ready to be back, like I could come back better than before.
Absolutely.
So good on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. It spoke volumes to still see you out on the track, cheering everybody on, even with the boot on. While we were sad, we were really excited to see your hunger
Mhm.
continue so you could look forward to your senior year and what you wanted to accomplish. So that's been really dope to see you as an athlete doing that. So leading up to, you have a setback and, it happens from time to time and it's how you respond and recover from that. How do you prepare for big competitions?
I mean, I think I definitely just try to stay positive through it all. I think, especially in the high jump range, you can't really go into that with a negative mindset because it's very mental. And I feel like if you go into it with a negative mindset, like you're not gonna accomplish your goals. And so I always try to just be positive and tell myself, like, you've done this before, like, regardless of how big or small, like, you know what you're doing, just go out and try your best.
You definitely, because you can tell when an athlete is running up to the bar thinking,
Not trying today. Yeah, let's get this over with. So, like with that, how do you handle those moments? How do you define, I guess, success? Because high jump is an interesting event. It could be a great day, it could be an awful day, and it could be just a day where you were like, I was here. So, like, what's the definition of success for you when it comes to your event?
I mean, I think I would define success as just like working my hardest to reach my goals because, like you said, you have good days and you have bad days, especially with high jump. Like, I think it's very, it's not linear at all. And so I think I just try to, maintain a positive mindset. I tell myself progress isn't linear. And I think just working towards your goals, like, that's what success is, I guess.
awesome.
Nice.
So let's take that a step further, right? Because in high jump, you get three attempts at a
Yeah.
certain height, right? And
Yeah.
you're looking at us and you're like what do I want to take in? What do I, not so I won't overthink to the bar. So how do you handle where you've already attempted twice over the bar and now this is your last opportunity? I think you had some moments like that even
Yeah.
last year, and then that pressure you were
Yeah.
able to overcome. But what were you thinking in that moment? Were you like, okay, still calm? Or how have you gotten to a point, right? Like where you've seen yourself evolve in that space if at first you weren't like, I
Yeah.
got this.
I mean, I definitely think I used to get a lot more stressed and I would start overthinking. And I think I learned to kind of just like take a step back and like realize where you're at and kind of just like regroup yourself, I guess. Because even if you don't make it on your third attempt, like you have more meets, like you have more opportunities to get better. And so I think just like kind of making myself like reset, I guess, just to be like, look, like you may have one more attempt, but like it's just like the others, like you still have a chance at this. So just try your best.
I know we preach visualization. Do you practice what we preach?
I mean, yeah, I would say I definitely do. And I also feel like before I go, I kind of like visualize all that I've learned with you guys or all that you guys tell me. And I kind of just, I like put it into, I guess I do like put it into visualization and see myself going over the bar. And I feel like it definitely helps.
Mhm.
Nice.
You planting seeds you don't even know
Right.
are starting to work for you. What life lessons do you feel you've learned with both track and cross?
I feel like something I've learned is definitely not to take any of your opportunities for granted because, like I said, like I've had several injuries and I think it's fully changed my perspective to instead of being like, oh, I have to go to practice today, like, oh, I have to perform, like, I have to go to this meet today. It's more like I get to. And I think
Mhm.
shifting that perspective was like a big kind of, I don't know how to explain it, it's like a realization for me. And I think it was a big lesson.
That's
Right.
awesome.
So what
Yeah.
would you say in terms of what you now that you've had this shift, how do you think that'll benefit you in the future, say in a career, in college, what have you?
I think it will definitely benefit me in the sense that if I have something that doesn't go my way or something that I'm like, oh, like this isn't working out, or if I have a setback, I think it'll just help me through that and make me realize, like, oh, maybe this isn't meant to be, or like, oh, maybe I shouldn't take this for granted. Like, I just need to live in the moment and
Mhm.
kind of realize what's happening around me and look for the positives and things.
we were
Okay.
talking about, having good days and accomplishing things. I'm curious as to how you celebrate.
That's a good question. Like sometimes, especially after meets and stuff, I'll like I'll go get food with my friends, or we'll go get like a little sweet treat, a little dessert just to celebrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying not to eat, but we know you eat really well, but you have the sweet. So what would be your dish of choice when you celebrate a great competition day?
Honestly, usually it's just like a nice little ice cream cone or something.
Mhm.
I don't do, I'm usually a pretty healthy person, I swear. Like I eat very healthy, but when it comes to my post-meet celebration, I usually just go get ice cream with my friends.
Fair enough. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. Uh, speaking of ice cream, overall nutrition, what role is that playing in your career thus far?
I mean, I definitely think that it plays a huge role. Like I said, I tend to eat really healthy. I am a vegetarian, so I feel like that kind of changes things up, but I definitely eat very whole, nutritious foods. I don't drink soda, drink lots of water, and I think all that definitely plays into like how much energy you have at your meets and definitely fueling properly benefits you in the long run.
Love it. No, Coach Ware is smiling.
I am. I'm excited for her.
What what makes you a good teammate?
I think one thing that makes me a good teammate is even if I don't perform well or I know that I didn't do my best, I always just kind of try to brush it off and go support my other teammates because I know they're going through the same stuff that I'm going through and I know that it's stressful. And so I always try to go support them regardless of how I'm feeling about my own performance. And I think that's like a really important thing just to do in the track world, I guess, because I know like support is really helpful, especially when you're running a super hard event or trying to overcome something that's really hard.
And what makes you a good competitor?
I think something that makes me a good competitor, I know when it's time to like lock in. I feel like yes, I love to have fun, even at practice and stuff, but I feel like I also know when it's time to like, okay, it's time to be serious, like it's time to focus on my competition around me and just like make sure that I perform well or perform my best.
Now, being that track is like an individual team sport,
Uh-huh.
there's such a thing. How do you see yourself contributing to the team overall?
I think, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like just always making sure I'm engaging with everyone. Like when I finish my jumps, I always make sure to go over and cheer for my teammates, whether it's like long jump or if it's like a running event. I'm always sure that I'm over there cheering them on because I know that that's what they do for me. And so I want to contribute that back out to them.
Are you being recruited? Right? Everybody's a hard worker. What sets you apart? What makes you different?
I think the work that I would put in outside of just like what people are seeing, I feel like I don't know, I feel like this happens in a lot of athletes. You just see what they do at practice or when they're under the supervision of their coaches. But I feel like you never really see what you're doing outside of practice that adds up to you performing well or you doing well in whatever that is that you're trying to succeed in.
I had another question though.
Okay, yeah.
if we had, if we asked your coaches and your teammates to give you to describe you in one, maybe two words, what would they use to describe you?
They would hopefully say that I'm positive because that's like a big thing that I always try to be. I'm trying to think of another word.
No,
That's
I feel
it.
like
that's
positive. I
it.
feel
Look,
like positive is
positive
good. Yeah.
is
That
that
works.
is great. That is great. So with that, right? I think we both Coach Jay and I can agree you are super positive. How do you handle, I mean, and the mic's on you in front of two of your coaches, but how do you handle feedback, right? Because in jumps you get a lot of feedback. Now we do just few words. We don't give
Yeah.
you full-fledged
Yeah.
lectures. But how do you handle that feedback?
I mean, definitely, usually for the most part, I know that it's like, not, I don't want to say like criticism, but it's definitely like things that are going to help me in the long run. So I just try to tell myself that, like, I know it's sometimes hard to get feedback, especially if it's not something you really want to hear. But I just tell myself, like, it's going to help you in the future. Like, obviously, I'm trying to get better. And so I always take into consideration the feedback that I've given.
Well, good. That's great news. You're coachable.
Right.
And with that, what are you looking forward to this season?
Mm.
I'm really just excited to see what the season brings. I'm hoping for a successful season. I'm hoping to stay healthy and injury free. That's a big one. And yeah, I just want to finish out my senior season very well on a good note. Hopefully state is in the future. So
Yes.
Well, it's that you're on your home turf this year,
yeah,
Yes.
so you'll
Absolutely.
you'll have plenty heads up there.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that. So what are you doing outside of the normal things to make sure you stay healthy?
Every time I get home from practice or before I go to bed, I always make sure to stretch. I do my resistance bands or like mini bands, whatever you want to call them. And whenever something starts to hurt, I always ice immediately. But yeah, lots of stretching, lots of icing, just the basics.
All
Definitely.
right, good deal. Well,
Good.
Elle, if somebody wanted to follow you, if keep up with your career, if a college coach wanted to get with you, what social media would they apply to keep their eye on you and your progress?
I would say probably Instagram. Yeah, Instagram.
You want to shout out your Instagram handle?
Yeah, it's LELLE_dot Bryant,
Is it
Mm.
underscore and a dot?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should be put that in right on
Ooh,
Yeah.
the
all right.
video.
Well, Elle, we appreciate you joining us.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for having me.
Yes, we are excited about this season and look forward to some great things happening this year.
Right.
Yes, me too.
Yes.